So it is lesson 5, part 3, and we've made some good progress in our site, but we want to clean up a few more things. So our product list is great. We've added sorting. We're showing our images. We fixed up our titles. Our add a new product is working. We've added all the validation in our product images. But one thing we don't have when we edit an image is we don't actually have the ability to upload a new image. And we've also still got to fix these drop downs. So our titles are wonky as well. So let's go to product edit under our views. So we're going to make some of the same changes we've already made in our create. I'm going to change my title to say, I'll just have it say product details. Same on line 8, our heading can say product details. We don't have to say edit. I think it's pretty clear they're editing because we're giving them a form. So I'm going to wipe out that H4 tag, and I'll have both line 4 and line 8 say product details. Over here on line 13, we need to add the encoding type attribute of multi-part form data. Because again, we want to let a user, when they're editing a product, we want to let them upload a file. So we're going to need this encoding type. So make sure you add this to your form tag. Once again, our image input, we want to add type equals file here. On line, for me, it's line 33. And then, so I'll just refresh. We'll see those changes. This is going to say product details up in my browser tab. Our heading here is going to change to product details. And now we get the ability to browse an image. We do need to also, in our controller, fix our drop downs. And we also want to show the image if there is one here. So let's see, maybe here we can say if our model.image does not equal null, oops, sorry, my round bracket problem. Got it. Again, we want to display it. So our source is going to be our images, products, and this time our model variable dot image. And we'll just use the class. We'll just show it again at the thumbnail size. We don't need to show the full size image. It'll be too big here. So we want to display an image if there already is one. So when we're editing the product, the way the page is right now, we don't know if there's an image or not. We can't see it. So we may have to move it a bit, but I'm going to add it here. Let's see what that looks like. I put the code in the chat. I'm going to refresh and see. I'm not exactly sure where this image file is going to show up. If it's over here or underneath. Oh, okay, we don't have one. But what about if I edit? Okay, that's fine. That works out okay. So my first few products, we don't have an image. That's fine. A couple of them, we do. So let's go to the controller. Let's fix up our drop downs. And then we want to copy the code from our post, our create post, to our edit post. So we can upload, I could go to edit Molson Canadian, and then I could browse and add this logo. So we'll go back to the products controller. And here for me, it's line 106 and 107. This is our get products edit. So when we're populating the form, we want to make the same changes here that we did on the create. So first on our brands, we want to order by. And again, I'll use this anonymous parameter for B. We want to order the brands by name. We also want to order the categories by name. And again, we want to change the text field from the ID to the name. Now you'll notice this time, this new select list, it's got 4 parameters. The data set that's filling the list, the data field, the text field, and this is the current value for this item. So which brand and which category should we pre-select in the list? We don't have this last parameter when we're creating because we're not selecting any of the items. So down here, again, we'll order by c.name, and I'm going to change this ID parameter from ID to name. So this should clean up these 2 drop-downs. They'll be in alphabetical order, and we'll see the names of the categories rather than the IDs. So save that change. Again, for me, it's lines 106 and 107. And I'll refresh. So instead of showing category 1, this is going to say beer when my page finishes reloading. Right? And now things are ordered, but the correct brand and category are pre-selected. So if I go back and edit Glenfiddich, right, it defaults to the right brand and the right category. It's a whiskey. Go back, choose CC Reserve. I get the right brand and right category. So now we're going to go and copy the code we wrote earlier for uploading a file. We're going to add that to our edit post method. I'm not going to put it in a function because there is going to be something a little different about it. So first we'll go up to this block of code here. It says upload photo and attach if any. So this section, starting from this comment down to and including the curly brace. So we're going to check if there was an image uploaded. And if there is, we're going to write it to the, name it, write it to the folder, stream it in, and set the image equal to our new file name. So I'm going to copy that block from the post. So that was in our create post. And I'm going to go back down to the post version of edit. So for me, that starts on line 111. It'll be a similar line number for you. So again, in here, before we call update in this, if it's valid, it's actually using a try catch. So in this try, I'm just going to paste all that code in. And we get a bunch of errors, which is okay. So right before this context.update statement, but inside the try block. So I'm highlighting in blue where I've pasted this code. Now, to get these errors to go away, we're going to make the same change to the method signature. So instead of image being a bound text field, we're going to remove the image and we're going to declare it as an iForm file parameter. So I'm going to take image out of the bound field list. And again, this is in the edit host method. And then after my product parameter, I'm going to add an iForm file that's called image with a capital I. Once I do this, all the errors go away. So I've taken out the image parameter here. I've added a new image parameter using the iForm file interface. So it now represents a file that's been uploaded. So now I want to go try this out. We've still got some placeholders on some of our products. I've provided images with those products. So I'm going to try and upload one. Let's see what happens. So I will go back to my products and I'll maybe start with Molson Canadian. So I'm going to click on edit. It's got no image, so I'm going to browse. I'll pick my Canadian logo and go to save. Hey, cool. So now if I go to edit again, now it shows up. Go back to my list. That seems to be working. Now, one little complication. I'm going to go back in. And let's say Canada Day is coming. We're putting Canadian on sale. We'll bump a case down to $39.95. I don't want to upload my image again. I've already got the right image here, right? I'm just changing the price of my product. So now I'll hit save. Oops. What happened here? Where'd my image go? The price updated. Right, so, because let's look at what happened, right? The image is null. So, when it does the update, it's removing, it's wiping out what we had there. So we need to say, if our image is null, we need an else here. We want to keep the current image file. We don't want to wipe it out in this case. So what I'm going to need to do is a little trick here on our form. We want to store the name of the current image file, like this one. We want to store it in a hidden text box. So if we don't upload a new image, we want to keep the current image name. So I'm going to go back to edit. Right up here at the top, we've already got a hidden input for the ID. So I'm going to create another hidden input. And I'm going to call it current image. And I'll set the value. I'm going to write our current image in here. I'll give it a value of @model.image. So the user isn't going to see this name, but it gets included in our form. So we'll need a little bit of logic that says if no photo got uploaded, keep the current image. Don't null it out. So I'm adding this into my edit form. We don't need to worry about this when we're adding a new product. Only when we're editing, the way we've written the code now, our image that we've uploaded previously gets wiped out if we change something else in the product. So if I refresh now and view my source, here in our form, no, it didn't show me. Try and do it without a cache. So here's my current image, right? It's got the value. So we can just add an else statement in the controller method that says if no image got uploaded, use this current image field. So we're going to add it to our list of parameters. So in our method, I'm going to define one more parameter at the end, which will be a string called current image. So we can use this field if the user didn't upload a new photo. We want to keep this as the image. So add this current image parameter at the end of your method signature. And then after this if statement, I'm going to add an else. Else, keep current image from getting wiped out if nothing new uploaded. So in this case, we'll set our product.image equal to our current image. So this should now fix this little logic bug. That if I go to change the price or the stock or anything about a product that already has a photo, I don't want to re-upload the same photo. It should just keep it there. I'm going to add this else to this block of code before, it's important this happens before I call update. So I'm going to go and change the price now on Glenfiddich without changing the image, and I hope that that logo won't get wiped out. So now I'm going to change my price. We'll raise the price. I'm not going to upload a new image. I'm just going to save my change. And it should change my price. Now it works from 64 to 69, but it doesn't delete the image we already had there. Now I have images for all of these, so I can go in if I want and edit any product, and I can attach my images. Okay, so this is pretty much fully functional now. I know there's no security. Like I said, you'll do that next week. The last thing I want to do, Connor, good question. No, I guess we could add that to the delete. I'm not going to worry about it right now, but yes, so what you could do, for example, in the delete post method, before deleting, you could grab, so I guess we could do it here, something like this. Sure, we'll do it. Why not, Connor? I'll do one. So remove image file, if any. Good question. So let's say our image. Oh, actually, I guess first, this should go after we find the product. So first look up the product. So image will equal product.image. You know, Connor, I'll have to look up the code. I don't have it right at my fingertips in terms of deleting it. So we would delete, I'll just put in a comment here from www.root. Can't do it off the top of my head. I need to do a little lookup. So we would delete the file. Okay. So I'll leave the code out, but it would go here. Sorry, I don't have it ready on my fingertips. Be a good challenge. Something you could try and add for bonus marks, for example, in your assignment. If you want to look it up and figure that out, give you bonus marks for that. Great question. So what I want to do now is just clean up let's fix up the design. Okay, so first of all, let's add a few things. First, to our product list. We're going to add some Bootstrap classes, and then we're going to customize the CSS. So in our product index, I'm going to scroll up to our table that's sortable. I'm also going to add two more Bootstrap classes. We've got table-striped, as well as table-hover. So I'm going to save those changes, add table striped and table hover. And when we do that, we'll see a couple things change visually, right? We get these alternating background rows. We also get this rollover effect. So when I move my mouse, right, it highlights the row I'm on. So that's kind of a nice feature of Bootstrap to add to tables. I'm not going to do it on brands and categories, but you can easily do those as well. I have a logo. So I created a logo here on looka.com. You can create a logo. So I'll maybe add that to my homepage as well. So I've included the logo here on Blackboard, the .NET Drinks logo. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to, again, copy this file into our www.root, but just into the IMG folder. It's not a product. This is just a site-wide image. So I go to my project and www.root IMG. I'm going to copy the logo here. So now it shows up in Solution Explorer. Here's our logo. So I picked a color scheme, and I'll show you how you can pick color schemes really easily. And in our layout file, I'm going to replace that little link in the nav bar that says .NET Drinks. I'm going to replace this with our logo. So on line 14, it says .NET Drinks, which is here by default. It's the name of our project. I'm going to replace this with our logo. So it's IMG. And it's going to go inside of this anchor tag because it will link to the homepage. And that's typical. Most sites, you click the logo, you go to the homepage, right? We all know this. Okay, logo's a bit big. I'm going to shrink that guy. Yep, there's the image tag. Oh, Marilla, do you mean the edit method? Yeah, I can put that up on Pastebin if that's what you mean. Did you mean the edit method or you mean the logo? Okay. It's too big. I'm going to shrink it. So let's see. I'll just edit it. Wait a minute. What size? Thought I shrunk it. Okay, let me shrink it down. So it says it's 288 by 240. I'll shrink it maybe down to 150 by 25. I'm just using paint for this. I'll just save. There, that's better. Still kind of big. So I just resized it edited it in paint and changed it to 150 by 125. So 150 wide and 125 pixels high. Now I'm going to change the color scheme as well. So put a link up here to the material palette. So material design is Google's design schema. If you guys stick around for the third year and you take Android, you'll use the Google palette. Chris, you can do that as well, but generally, the file size is smaller. So if I want to render it at a smaller size, it actually uses fewer kilobytes if I resize the image itself. There's probably no reason to load the full-size image and shrink it down. It takes more memory. So that's why. But yeah, you can use CSS if you want to. But better to size it properly. So in the material palette, if you go here, and the link's on Blackboard, if you go to material palette, you can choose colors, and it will set up a color scheme of complementary colors and give you all the hex values. So I picked light green, and then I picked gray, and then the material palette gives me, why won't this move? So I want to use some of these colors in our CSS. Okay. So let's see, what do I want to change here? Looking at the palette. Want to change the color of my nav bar and use maybe this light primary color. So I'm going to click on that. And that's going to copy the hex value. So I'll get this light primary color, click on it, and it gives me this hex value. It says copy to my clipboard. And then we're going to make some changes in our site.css. So I'm going to define by override the bootstrap navbar-light class, and I'll set the background color to this light color that comes from the material palette, this lighter green. You can see the colors kind of complement each other. So I'll set .navbar-light, and then I need to make one change in my layout file. The background color isn't going to change quite yet. Right? It's still this kind of white color. If I go back to layout, there's one class here I want to take out. So you can see it's got the navbar-light, but it also has this BG white. I want to remove the white background. And this will allow our navbar-light class to take effect. So take out BG white on line 12 in your nav tag. So now I've got this pale green nav bar. I want to use some of these other colors as well. I want to change all the links from the default blue. I'm going to use a different color from the palette. Let's see, I want my links to maybe use this dark primary color. So I'll just click on that. It'll copy the hex to the clipboard. And I want to set the links instead of this default color. So this is already defined in our custom style sheet on line 12. I'm going to change the color. Adam, it may be cached. If you're using Firefox, I have to hit Control F5 to refresh it without cache. So now all my links turn green. I'm going to make 2 more style changes. Yeah, or Control Shift R, thanks Jason, on Chrome. Instead of this gray color, I want to use one of the colors from the material palette for my stripes. So maybe I'm going to use this divider color. So I'll copy that. And actually, here is I'll give you the class we need. I'll put it in the chat. So I want the alternating colors of any HTML, any alternating background colors of any rows. So if I use this for table striped within the body, any alternating row, the even numbers are going to use this light gray. So again, I'll hit Control and F5, get a different color. That's not the right color. Whoops. Let's fix it up. It's this. It's not a purple. Should be gray. There we go. And I'm going to make one last kind of visual change for today, call it a day. I'll also update my homepage to mention where I got the logo from. I'll update my README file before I push. I also want to update the font. Rather than using this default font, which looks very template-ish, there's not even a font specified, I'm going to go to Google Fonts and find a new font to use. So I'll just go to fonts.google.com. So you can go here and we can pick any font to use. So find a font you like that you want to use in your liquor store. Maybe I'll use this. I'll use Noto Sans. So if you just click on it, and I'm just going to scroll to just regular 400 right at the top. I click select this style. And you can link to it. So it gives me a link. And then it just gives me the CSS to put in the style sheet. So I'll just copy the link. And again, use any style you like. If you want this one, put it in the chat. I'm going to put this in the header of my layout. So up here, Google Font. And then in my style sheet, it says just set font family to Nato Sans and sans serif. So I'll go to style. You can just paste it into the HTML tag that our font family is Nato Sans. Did that update? Let's see. I don't think that updated. I don't think I want it on the HTML tag. I'll just undo that. Put it on my body tag. So anything in the body. We'll try that. Right, so now I've got a different font. So now the site at least looks a little bit custom. Okay, so I've applied this style, this font family to my body tag. That was already in the style sheet. Okay, so now it's starting to look like a site somebody might pay us for. All right, we've got a consistent kind of a color palette. We've got a logo. We're using Bootstrap where we can. We've got column sorting. We can upload images. We're getting there. Okay, so I'd like to see you customize your assignments. Don't use these colors. Use the material palette. Go and find a couple colors that you like together. You don't have to make a logo, but you can. And there's some other sites as well where you can make a logo. So I'm going to add a few notes onto my homepage and in my README file. And then I'm going to push to GitHub. The logo made at So I've given credit for these things. I'll add these to my README file as well. Then I push my changes to GitHub. And all these changes should get deployed to Azure as well. And I'll say live site at, and I'll sign into the Azure portal and grab my link. I think it was .NET drinks. Azure websites.net. So I'll put the link to the live site in my README file as well, and you should do this for your assignments. For your assignment. So we've got an easy way to get there. So I'll go to my .NET drinks. I stopped the website last week so I wouldn't use up all my credits. I'll just restart it. I'll push all my changes to GitHub. And then we should see, yeah, so I'll just start the site. I'm going to push all of today's changes up. So we can see the changes I've already pushed to GitHub earlier in class, they're here. But now I'm going to push my last round of changes. right? So some of this stuff is here. So I'll go to Git, say lesson 5, part 3, customize design. So I'll push my changes, which is going to update GitHub, which will also update Azure in another minute or two. So if I look on GitHub now, right, I've got the updated README where I'm giving credit to Wikipedia for the images, Lookup for the logo, and I've linked to my live site. And if I go and look in the deployment center, it should be syncing shortly. If I go to the logs, right, it's in progress. So you can see my lesson 5 version 3 with the design customizations, it's deploying this. The older version is active right now. Lesson 5, part 2. So this is where your commit messages are really important because they describe each version in case you need to roll back to an earlier one. So as soon as this says my new version is active, then I can refresh and I should get the new version of the site. So I'll just give this a minute. Close this up. So I don't expect you to make all of these changes on your assignment from what you get from the scaffold, but I would like to see some changes. Make the site your own. Make it look better. Make it easier for people to use. Add the proper data validation. Show your data in a way that would make sense for your end user. Okay, so not done yet. Are there questions today? All the code is on GitHub already that we've done today. The GitHub and the Azure link. So please read the instructions carefully. They ask for both. So you should submit your repository link as well as the link to the live website on Azure. And the instructions, the requirements ask very clearly that you do both, please. So if I clear my cache, I now get the new font, all the colors, and now all the changes that we've made today are live. Okay, any other questions from anybody before we wrap up for today? Well, I'm really looking forward to seeing your assignments. And I hope you have a great, I mean, you will get feedback from me. I hope you have a great rest of the semester with Eduardo. I know he's going to continue on with the .NET Drink Store. So you're going to start with authentication, social authentication as well, authorization, and then some other features. And you're going to continue to work with this project with him. Okay, so good luck with your assignments. Please make sure you submit. The instructions are on Blackboard under the assignments tab. Yeah, really enjoyed having this group. Thanks for all your participation. And please keep in touch. Hopefully we'll have some classes together in the future. Have a great rest of your semester and summer. And please keep in touch. Okay, thanks everybody. Look forward to seeing your projects.